Tastes like 2020. So I think we're going to have to talk about the lore and the history first of what I eat in a day videos. And it starts further back than you might think, in the frickin' Renaissance. Oh my gosh, I started filming and then I had a sneeze attack, but at least that means that spring is coming. Anyways, back to what we're talking about. So this Renaissance writer wasn't just, logging what he ate in a day to be like inspiring and show cute recipes or anything like that. It was so that people could emulate him and his lifestyle, which is really similar to what influencers today do with their what I eat in a day videos, because he was showing how a strict diet could lead to living a longer life. Of course, that's a bit cheeky, like this Renaissance writer didn't actually start the YouTube and TikTok trend, but it just goes to show that this isn't, a new thing to be interested in what other people eat. However, I think the voyeuristic nature of this sort of trend nowadays is very, very new. And I think part of it must come from like the rise of reality TV and from that initial blurring of the lines between celebrity and reality. And here in the UK, the Daily Express is one of like the big tabloids, and they actually seem to be the first magazine that started a sort of what celebrities eat in a day section. They started this in 1999, which was probably like right before reality TV blew up. And one of the journalists who worked on this section of the magazine said it was a cozy, fun piece about people's kitchens and cooking habits, not diets. Now, I don't completely buy this because I kind of feel, yes, it might be funny to see like, oh, this rock star has a bunch of champagne and half-eaten pizza in his fridge, which I think is like an example that they give in this article. But I do think, especially considering how we treat women's bodies in the media, I think that the interest in what other people eat in a day, and when it comes to celebrities and specifically women celebrities, that it almost always will have to do with the audience wanting to look like that person. And as we all know, diet culture was huge in the 90s, so I think it's maybe a bit naive. Obviously, this was like a seasoned journalist who they interviewed, so I'm not calling her naive as a person, but like, I think that this idea that it was really only just cozy and interesting and fun is a bit naive, because I think that there had to be at least some interest in like, how can I look like X person? And one of the most popular What I Eat in a Day videos has a VS model on the thumbnail. Lots of magazines took note of this. Even some models themselves became YouTubers to show, what I eat in a day as a Victoria's Secret angel, what I eat in a week before the Victoria's Secret runway show, what I eat in a day to keep a flat stomach, etc., etc. Like, we can pretend that it's just a cute, cozy interest in our favorite creators' lives, but the most popular videos show that what we really wanted was to look like them. But let's jump forward to modern times. I saw a lot of articles saying that What I Eat in a Day videos blew up around 2020 when everyone was at home, had nothing to do, was maybe too focused on wellness. But I actually feel like we both know that they started way earlier, and specifically on YouTube. And to me, I really feel like these What I Eat in a Day videos were huge in the 2010s, and specifically coming from women creators. YouTube was, she was at her peak. We were all watching the Brit Squad. Anyone could be a beauty vlogger and everyone was watching it, even if they didn't wear makeup. Like, it was a time for YouTubers, and I'm glad they jumped on that train so early. I'm so happy for them, and also extremely jealous, even though I was like 10 years old. But I think this was, like BuzzFeed says, textbook voyeurism. This was the first time that we could at least feel like we were looking into someone's personal life on a very like minute level. Asking someone what they eat all day, every day is very, very intense. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of these videos weren't completely honest, which, I mean, what did we really expect? And I think this voyeuristic appeal that What I Eat in a that What I Eat in a Day videos had or still have stems from people wanting to be like the people that they watch or that they look up to. So even if YouTube watchers, viewers weren't initially thinking like, oh, I want that person's body, and therefore I want to know what they have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and for all of their snacks. But that it kind of slowly became that. And I think that was definitely amplified by our booming interest in wellness in this time period. And it makes sense, right? Because you might just be, nosy and want to know what your favorite influencer, content creator is eating every day. But let's be honest, a lot of very famous people on the internet are extremely beautiful, and that's part of what attracts us to them. Yes, people can be really funny, really entertaining, but let's say how it is. Pretty privilege does exist, especially on social media. And so if we find someone attractive because they have a great body or they have really clear skin, and we're also impacted by decades and decades of diet culture, of course, part of why we want to know what they ate in a day is because we're hoping that if we eat the same thing, that will look exactly the same. So it makes sense that wellness YouTubers really took this trend and frickin' ran with it, because they were capitalizing off of the fact that people wanted to look like them or at least live the same lifestyle. And I think interest in these videos kind of died down, especially with movements like body positivity or body neutrality. But by 2020, they started to boom again, especially on TikTok, but also gaining traction on YouTube. It makes a lot of sense that how people were dealing with such a difficult change in their lifestyles was to become super toxically productive. I'm gonna finish my coffee, but later when we have lunch, we're gonna get into the downfall of these what I eat in a day videos. I love these whenever they're on offer at Sainsbury's. I'm getting 3 bags of them. Like I said before, I think it was completely inevitable for these what I eat in a day videos to become about being thin or looking a certain way, and becoming very toxic very quickly, because obviously all of our bodies are different, and just because you eat the same as, I don't know, this Victoria's Secret model doesn't mean that you're going to look like her at the end of the day. Like, we all know that logically, I think, but I think when you're seeing exactly what someone eats in a day and it's being presented to you in such an easy format on the internet, it feels personal, it feels intimate, and it feels, most importantly, like something that you can just mimic. I lost another piece of courgette and I have no idea where it went. How does that happen? But I think part of what made these videos take off is the fact that it was very much a certain demographic that was doing these videos that more people were likely to click on, which, like many Victoria's Secret model, was, very thin, very symmetrical, oftentimes blonde, specifically models, which is quite possibly the last type of person you should be comparing yourself to. And I don't know why exactly, but these videos are just so addicting. Like, I definitely have had periods where I'm watching what I eat in a day videos from any and all creators. It doesn't even need to be someone whose content I'm already familiar with. Like, if I saw a nice thumbnail of a what I eat in a day video, and most likely if I liked how that person looked, then I would click on it, and then you'd get stuck into this loop of like, so many people have made what I eat in a day videos, and so many of those people have been able to present it in a way that makes you want to emulate it. Whether that's, innocently making just really yummy looking food, or if it's something a bit more like explicitly toxic, like what I eat in a day before a swimsuit photo shoot, or like what I eat in a day before prom, something like that. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that there are plenty videos of this sort. So once you get sucked in, it's actually not that simple to get out of it, and we can't just say, oh, just don't watch them if you don't like them. Like, I don't really know how much they should exist, and I know some creators have talked about how they no longer do what I eat in a day videos, or if they do, they don't talk about things like the macros, they don't talk about the specific ingredients, they don't talk about any diet tips. They're simply showing, I had cereal, then I had a nice bowl, and then I had pasta, and not actually talking about the food or assigning any sort of like moral value to like, oh, this is my treat because I was really healthy this morning, blah, 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 blah. I think overall people are a lot more conscious of the negative side effects it can have. Young women are obviously such a huge audience on social media, and they're also the most likely to develop eating disorders. So what I eat in a day videos, you could say, I don't know if I completely agree with this, but hot take, you could say that they inherently prey on vulnerable groups, and that group being young women. Of course, I know that diet culture impacts everyone, but if you look up what I eat in a day videos, you're mostly going to see young women, and who's mostly watching that because they want to look like that person? Other young women. But I think the more and more we're aware of how much diet culture is just complete BS, that can help us to not be so negatively impacted by video trends like what I eat in a day. She agrees. And of course, creators who focus on wellness have tried to make what I eat in a days that are a lot more positive, but this also can go down a slippery slope of just being like toxic diet culture in sheep's clothing. But I think more often than not, you are comparing yourself in a very negative light. So instead of being able to consume this sort of content through a wellness lens and just say like, how can I do this for my lifestyle, for my body, for my goals, it can turn more into like, why is my life not like that? Why can't I afford those products? Why don't I have as much time to cook? Like reflecting on these what I eat in a day videos can quickly turn into negative self-talk. When I was in the habit of watching these what I eat in a day videos, like I could watch them for hours just getting inspiration of what I should be eating to be healthy, especially when I first stopped eating meat. That was a time where I would search vegan what I eat in a day. And then, I'm being suggested high protein what I eat in a day as a vegan, or what I eat in a day as a vegan runner, what I eat in a day as a vegan model, blah, blah, blah. And like you get sucked down the rabbit hole, and it's a very attractive rabbit hole because the people presenting this information to you are people whose lifestyle we all aspire to because, they're usually really hot and we like that. We like hot people. That's the point of this video. When you compare your daily food intake to someone else's what I eat in a day video, you're comparing yourself to like the highlight reel. Obviously, we all know social media is a highlight reel version of their daily diet. And when you're in this world online and not going outside, specifically around 2020, you forget that other food exists, and that really takes the joy out of eating, and it makes you anxious because you have this feeling of like needing to eat a certain thing to be either on trend or to look a certain way or to be healthy. I need to keep working. If you didn't know, I work from home and I film these videos on my little breaks in the evening, on the weekends. But today we're working, so I'm gonna have dinner later. It might be like a weird girl dinner type of vibe because I'm meeting someone for a drink, but we're gonna talk about where we're at now with what I eat in a day videos later. I just got back from drinks and my boyfriend is making dinner tonight, but he's getting home from the gym, so we have time to finish out this video, baby, and have a little snack. So now let's look a little bit into where we are at now in our relationship with what I eat in a day videos. I think largely that our relationship with what I eat in a day videos and with diet culture in general has definitely shifted, at least in the way that we talk about it. And I think before I read this stat, I would probably say that it just changed for the better, period. But this kind of changed my mind. So this is research from UCL as reported by The Independent. And this article basically talks about how millennials assume that they lived in a particularly bad era of diet culture with, the heroin chic trend, tabloids, brutal paparazzi, etc., exacerbating anyone and everyone's issues with their body image. But The Independent writes this. In actual fact, 2020 research from UCL found that Generation Z are more concerned with weight loss than previous generations. The longitudinal study of 22,503 adolescents found that over 42% of teens were attempting to lose weight in 2015, while only 28.6% were in 2005, reducing the prevalence of restrictive eating behaviors and weight dissatisfaction. I don't know about you all, but for me, that is incredibly shocking. Like, my impression was really that us as Gen Z, or maybe you're a millennial watching this, I don't know, were in a much better spot in terms of their relationship with body image or diet culture. But this research proves otherwise, and it also makes sense. You know, social media is more prevalent than ever. And even though we're exposed to more ideas of like body positivity, body neutrality, shaming people who promote diet culture, we're also receiving the negative information, the negative conversations on a larger scale than ever before. So it does make sense why Gen Z is actually more concerned with their weight than their millennial predecessors. And I feel like this Gen Z concern with weight goes hand in hand with our concern with aesthetics. You know, we want to fit the coquette aesthetic. We want to fit the that girl aesthetic. We want to look a certain way, and more often than not, that way is thin. And I've talked about this before on my channel. And I get the sense that we're more open than ever to promoting body positivity or body neutrality, but in terms of actually practicing it, that maybe we find it more difficult because we're on social media a lot more often than our millennial sisters and brothers, siblings. I think now, I don't know if it's me from personal choice or if it's an actual trend that's going on, but I feel like I see what I eat in a day videos much less on my feeds on different social media platforms. But two of the people whose what I eat in a day style videos I would watch and actually don't think that harmful were Abby Sharp and Linda Sun, I think her name is. Also, whenever I say Abby Sharp, I feel like I want to say Abby Lee Miller, but Abby Sharp is what I mean. Abby Sharp is a registered dietitian, and she responds to what I eat in a day videos, usually explaining why they're bad. And I think this can be really helpful for raising awareness and understanding that not everyone's diet is going to be suitable for any person who's watching that video. However, I do think that there's still this aspect of criticizing someone else and telling them what they should tweak so you can emulate that sort of edited What I Eat in a Day by Abby Sharp in order to look like X person. At least this is someone who's actually vetted and trained in the nutrition industry, but I think it can still become really toxic, and that's also how I feel a little bit about Linda Sun's videos. I don't know if she still does them because I was very much watching these when I was home during 2020, but her What I Eat in a Day seemed to be a lot more realistic, and she would talk a lot about her struggle with food and understanding what was right for her and her body and keeping her energy levels up while not restricting and sort of balancing all of these things that we tried to balance. However, I did stop watching them because at the end of the day, I think I'm the type of person who doesn't need to be watching a What I Eat in a Day video, and I think most people do not need to be watching this type of content. And I think creators as well as audiences are slowly taking the conscious steps to remove themselves from that sort of content. And you know, they can find success in other ways, even if they talk about wellness. You know, there's a way to talk about physical health and mental health without necessarily getting into the specifics of what you're eating. Because at the end of the day, yes, we might want to be a little bit voyeuristic. Yes, we may want to imitate that person's lifestyle, but living life or eating exactly how someone else does, especially someone on the internet who you don't even know, is never going to make you exactly like them, and it might even impact you in a negative way. I'm really curious to hear what you think about What I Eat in a Day videos. Do you still watch them? Because they were trending again on TikTok pretty recently, but I think it's died down again. I think people are tired of it. A lot of people just make fun of it. I don't watch them anymore, but I'm curious if you do and if there's anyone who you suggest for wholesome, non-problematic, non-toxic What I Eat in a Day videos. That being said, my boyfriend's making dinner and we're going to eat very soon. He just made me some ginger and lemon tea. So that's what I'm drinking right now. I think I'm coming down with a bit of a cold. If you couldn't tell, I feel like I sound a bit nasally, but it was lovely to hang out with you guys today and just spend the day together talking about this topic.
Darling, time to